Hello YouTube, this is Mr. Bakari, and today I'm going to talk about simplifying negative square roots. Okay, so let's get started. This is something you have to do for all different kinds of situations, and starting in Algebra 2 and moving onward into upper level math classes. So what we have here is, in your earlier years, you were told that you couldn't take the square root of a negative number, and that if you were solving and you got the square root of a negative number, there was no solution. Well, in reality, it's an imaginary solution. Okay. So long ago, some mathematicians they defined the square root of -1 as a new quantity, which is I. So basically, what that means is every time we get the square root of -1, rather than saying no solution, we're just going to call that I for an imaginary number. Okay? So there's basically three scenarios I'm going to go over. There's a negative perfect square, a negative radical that can be simplified, and a negative radical that cannot be simplified. And they're all negative, so what we need to do is we need to simplify them in terms of I. And so this is how you do it. So we've got a -36 on the radical. So basically, this breaks down to the square root of -1 times the square root of 36. Okay? And we know that the square root of -1 is just I. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out an I. Okay? So I'll put my answer over here. So I'm going to pull out an I. And then the square root of 36 is just 6. So I pull out the 6 and I have 6i. So that's it. That's how I simplify it. Okay? If we look over here to negative square root of 7, okay, basically this is the square root of -1 times the square root of 7. All right, so the square root of -1, we're going to pull out an I again. And then the square root of 7, there's nothing we can do with that. The square root of 7 can't be simplified, so we have to leave that under the radical. And so you get I square root of 7. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like when you can't simplify what's under the radical. And then down here, we get something like the square root of -45. That's the square root of -1 times the square root of 45. Well, we should know that the square root of 45 can be simplified. Okay, so if we break that down, the largest perfect square factor of 45 is 9. 9 times 5. So square root of -1, we're going to bring out the I. 9 is a perfect square, so we're going to take the square root of that and bring out a 3. And then the 5 remains under the radical. Okay? And so that is our third scenario. So it can be simplified. We pull out the I. This cannot be simplified. We pull out the I. And this is a perfect square. We lose the radical. We pull out the I. We get that. Okay? So those are the three scenarios. Now what I'd like to do is if you'd like to try, pause the video. I encourage you to pause the video, try these three, and come back and we'll go over them. All right, the top one here, square root of -121. Okay, so the negative, I'm going to pull out an I, and the square root of 121 is a perfect square, which is just 11. So the answer would be 11i. Okay. Square root of -96. I'm going to pull out an I because I have a negative. And 96 breaks down to 16 and 6. 16 is a perfect square. I take the square root of that, pull it out. The 6 remains under the radical. Okay? 4i root 6. And our last one down here, because we've got a negative, we're going to pull out I. And the square root of 13 can't be simplified. So there's nothing more we can do with that. We leave the 13 under the radical, I square root of 13. And there you go. It's as easy as that. So hopefully this clarifies how to approach these when you're solving quadratic equations or simplifying. And yeah, I hope this helps you out. Thanks for watching.